Hello, everyone. This is Shantavia Johnson. I am here with Dean Tonya Evans and Dr. Kathleen Walls, and we are so excited that Dr. Walls will be one of our speakers for the Phoenix Rising Virtual Summit taking place on April 19th, 2019, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we wanted to talk with some of our speakers about their work, about what we can expect to hear from them. So thank you so much, Dr. Walls, for being here with us today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. So we wanted to ask each of our speakers 3 questions to give people a little bit of a flavor for what they can hear from you and then hear more about your work. So could you start out talking a little bit about your work and what you do and how you help people?
Okay, yeah. So I am a doctor of clinical psychology. I provide individual, family, couples counseling, but I also do a lot of consulting and leadership development as well. So helping managers, CEOs, people in charge of companies really work with their people, their process, and their programs to help build and increase performance.
Oh, that's amazing. That is so amazing. And so you're helping people generally in life with all the issues that they have. And as you know, the Phoenix Rising Virtual Summit is all about how to crisis-proof your career and crisis-proof your life. And this was really the brainchild of Dean Tonya Evans, and we've been working together a lot about just crisis-proofing our life during this time. Right, Tonya?
Absolutely. And as we are positioning ourselves to help other people, you know that we are all impacted as well. And so I'd be interested to hear, and I'm sure that those who are watching would love to understand what your experience has been in the pandemic, personally, professionally. How are you doing?
Yeah, so personally, professionally, actually, it's interesting. I'm doing well. It's funny because my life was kind of set up for this almost in a way. Working with people around crises, working with crisis management, intervention. This is what I've been doing for over 20 years. So I have the skill set to navigate these waters, and I'm happy to have the skill set to help other people navigate these waters. And that's why the workshop is entitled Release the Cry and Crisis. Because when we're looking at crying, yes, we automatically think tears, but there's so many ways in which crying happens. We're crying out for a change. We're crying out to do those things that we haven't been able to do before. So in this pandemic, I find my creativity crying out like crazy. And it has to be addressed. A cry is a call. And so it's like, what needs to be addressed now? So for me, I'm truly thankful for some of this downtime to work on these projects that just have been delayed for a while, like even cleaning up the house and doing the taxes, that behind the scenes work, because in our work, meaning being an entrepreneur, being in business for yourself, multiple businesses in my case, there's so much behind the scenes work that has to be done that when I don't have to drive 2 or 3 hours a day, that's 2 or 3 hours that I can spend getting something done. Like I said, even as simple as just cleaning the house, So, and then the other piece is a lot of my work is done remotely anyway. So it's more of the same. And as you know, I was just in Africa for 2 months back in the fall teaching. And so my clients, we were doing virtual sessions. So it's like when I came back in January, it was like, hey, you get to have me for 6 to 8 weeks, but now we're back online again. So there's that piece as well. So I'm actually kind of enjoying that downtime, which is part of that self-care that many times when you are that entrepreneur, when you are that leader, that go-getter, when you are that leader that leads leaders, you end up kind of exhausting yourself. And so I appreciate the rest. Now, are there concerns about finances? Yes, because there's a dip for sure. So it's also learning from people such as yourself and the other women who are on the panel to how do I do this? So I feel like that old commercial where it's like, not only am I the owner, but I'm also a client. Not only will I be a speaker, but I'm also actively going to be a student that day.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's phenomenal. So, Tonya, you've talked a lot about this concept of cooperative economics and how we all learn from each other. So I just love so much your transparency in saying, hey, I'm doing really well, number one, but I can also learn too. Because I'm like you, I'll be taking notes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Looking at my 401k, wondering when the dip will stop.
That's right. That's right. Because here's the reality. So normally my work, a session is anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. I try to give people 60-minute sessions just to, I'm mindful of people's money and I want to make sure that they get more for their money. But some of the sessions are now 30 minutes because some of the people I work with are in healthcare and they cannot dip out for an hour. Like they're like, I need my session, but I'm running this COVID-19 testing site. Right. And so I can only give you 30 minutes. So now this means that I may have to work 80 hours to get 40 hours worth of pay. So in some ways, I'm actually working more now than what I was before. And that's a blessing. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that this is the reality of the work that I do.
Right. The work is vital. And it always has been, and it'll be such an important part of the summit to, of course, we are focusing on crisis proofing a career and your finances, but if the mental impact and the emotional impact of what is happening today will have such far-reaching consequences when I think of the post-traumatic stress that the entire world and this nation will experience that in ways that it will continue to unfold because it's the type of thing that doesn't have a beginning, middle, and an end.
Correct. And these are things that we only read about, when we think about learning about the Depression and we learned about the plagues. And these are things that we never thought that we would go through ourselves. And so in some of this, I laugh to myself because I'm like, oh, that's what they meant by that. Oh, even as simple as follow directions, stay home. Wash your hands, like real basic, real basic kindergarten stuff. You know what I mean? That people are having difficulty with. The social interaction, the fact that people are missing it. And now, here we're doing these virtual FaceTime calls, which you see this sigh of relief that comes over people because it's this, I feel connected to you type of piece. And, you realize that you do need it. So I think there's a shifting in values. There's a shifting in understanding what's essential, what's really important in your life, what you need and what you don't need, what you recognize was a luxury. And there's also a shifting in the playing field because you recognize we're all in this together. It doesn't matter age, it doesn't matter race, it doesn't matter country. Everybody's going through it and we're all in this together. And so the power of cooperative economics is so, so real. We all can gain if we grow and move together.
Oh, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good advice. I'm ready to throw money at you right now.
Pass the plate.
I'm ready to receive.
So I love that you're talking about what we can all learn from each other and the different pieces that I think Tonya and I have put together are just so critically vital to not only thriving at this time or surviving in this time, but thriving in this time. So what can people expect to hear from you? I feel like you've given us a little taste of it already.
Definitely.
What can we expect to hear?
Yeah, it's really about shifting that mindset. One of the things that my husband and I talk about all the time is the 360 degrees. And I know in the business world, there's a 360 degree model, but our model is different in that if we look at a cipher, it's 360 degrees in a circle and each point is relevant. And so many times you're looking at something from one point, but you have to remember there's 359 other points. There's 359 other ways to look at something. Right. So when you're in a crisis, it activates your physiological stress responses, which moves you into fight or flight or freeze mode. And so and then that lowers your inability for critical thinking, decision making. And we have to remember that. So we have to kick in and use those coping skills. We have to do the deep breathing. We have to do things like yoga and Pilates and meditation and prayer to calm us down, because then our stress goes down. Then our analytical, critical thinking opens back up, and then we can start to see more options and start to shift the way that we're experiencing our current existence and realize that it can be so much more than what we might be limiting ourselves. We can move from a lack mindset into an abundant mindset.
That's very, very powerful. And it's just going to be so wonderful to share those actionable items and that information so that, again, by the time we're going to leave people better than we found them.
Oh, so, for sure.
Right. Starting at the beginning of the day and having this as a really great anchor to make sense of crisis-proofing careers and money is nothing if you don't have your mind, body, and spirit in order.
It is so, so true. And as you know, I've been releasing pieces of a poem that was birthed out of this called Release the Cry. Release the Cry in Crisis is the title of the workshop. And then the title of the spoken word piece is Release and Cry, Sis. And so originally that was going to be the title of the workshop, but I didn't want men to think that they weren't allowed. So I had to make it gender sensitive.
Very good.
Right. But it's this idea that there's things that are to be released during this time. And it's okay to release it, whether it's sadness, whether it's fear, all of it. Let's acknowledge it, because if we don't go to it and then go through it, we'll never grow from it.
Powerful. Well, you are joining this stellar group where both Shantavia and I would attend this if we didn't happen to be hosting. We feel really privileged that you, Dr. Walls, are joining us. We also have Minda Harts from the Memo, and Linda Khalfani-Cox, the money coach. Yes. We have Latesha Byrd, who's a career consultant, Kailei Carr, who will be joining either before or after you, and it's going to be a really powerful duo. She's from the Bärí group and is all about beyond the business suit. So she aligns very much with the types of information that you'll be sharing as well. We have Teri Ijeoma, who is the CEO of Invest with Teri, who makes money when the markets are up and the markets are down and in between. And so that's going to be really important too. And Tech Life Steph Humphrey, technology contributor, ABC News, who's a public speaker as well. And also Bärí Williams. So Shantavia and I are lawyers, but we like to have others come in too and talk about the contractual issues, because as speakers, we all experienced certain things that if we had had a little bit more in contracts, maybe we would have been able to hold on to a little bit of that those resources and the income and put those markers in. So she's going to work through that with us as well. And finally, you joining us. It's a privilege to have you join our virtual stage.
Thank you.
Shantavia, any parting words?
Just thank you so much for your willingness to participate. Like Tonya said, if we were not involved, I'd be signing up everybody I know to come talk about this. So Tonya and I both have seen on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, many people going through the same things. Like so consultancies going down, projects and workshops and speaking engagements shifting or being delayed. I mentioned like 401ks or all these other different things with our money, some people being laid off or furloughed. This is just going to be such a powerful day. But I mean, I really think like that mental piece, that is the critical piece, because if our mind ain't right, we not right.
That's right.
Other things.
You can't do anything else.
Right.
You can't. Your mind is not functioning properly, because you end up moving out of a fear base. And when you're moving out of fear, then you're moving out of survival mode, which means that you're not moving out of living and you're not moving out of thriving. And so you have to get that emotional piece in check first. And then once the emotional piece is in check, the mental piece can get in check. And when the mental piece gets in check, then the rest of your life can fall in order. So it is completely critical. I tell people all the time, they pay to get their hair done, but they need to pay to get what's underneath their hair done.
Come on. That's that shout moment right there. Yes.
All right, so if we have not convinced you to sign up on April 19th, 2020 at 12 p.m., I don't know what else we can do, because I'm ready now.
I thank you, ladies, so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is wonderful. And it's so what the world needs. And as we move from a competitive space to a collaborative space, we can do so much more together. Collaboration is the highest form of relationship. Yes. And so the fact that you all are bringing it together and bringing the concept, the African concept of Ujima,
yes.
and Ujamaa together, and we're bringing Imani, we're bringing that faith, we're bringing Nia, we're bringing purpose. We're having Kwanzaa right now.
Kwanzaa.
Okay.
Yes.
Bring that in Nguza Saba to life. Yes.
Great. Well, Tonya, any final words as we wrap up?
We just want you to go to phoenixrisingsummit.com. That's phoenixrisingsummit.com. Sign up. There are passes that begin at just $20. If you can't be on the live event, you can sign up for a replay pass. We have live access. We have a more curated experience for Q&A with our speakers that also includes the replay. Go to phoenixrisingsummit.com for all of the details, and we look forward to connecting with you on April 19th.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you both.
Thank you all. Continue to live your greatest life.